What's up, everybody? This is Ash for the Triple S League, and what you're going to be hearing in a minute here is a review of Hogwarts Legacy that my partner and friend on this channel, Subsidian, did on the Maximum News Show, which is another show we produce with Max Darrett, a YouTuber that many of you are familiar with. They do a gaming news show on our sister channel, Triple S Podcasts, which I recommend you check out. You can find the link in the description below and subscribe there. They do an informative and entertaining news show every week. And if you want to hear the expanded discussion where they talk a lot more about mods and, of course, some other topics from the news of the week, head over to Triple S Podcasts and find the February 13th, 2023 episode of Maximum News. Also, on Thursday, February 16th, right here on the Triple S League channel, we'll be doing our regular weekly live streaming, TSL Live, and we're going to dive deep into Hogwarts Legacy as an RPG and as an open world game and talk about how well it does on those aspects, as well as bringing some perspectives from our Discord community about what makes a good open world game, what are the best open world games, things like that. So it'll be a deep dive into open world RPGs in general, specifically in the context of Hogwarts Legacy, and it should be a very interesting discussion. So that's Thursday, February 16th, 2023, and if you're listening to this after that date, you can find the VOD on this channel. We keep them up, usually, unless they suck. All right, enough from me. Let's dive right into Saib's thoughts about Hogwarts Legacy.
This game has fulfilled a fantasy that I never thought I really had. I never was on the whole Harry Potter book train, like hardcore, like a lot of other people were that were my same age growing up when they first started to come out. I was a little bit older than, I guess, the intended audience at that particular moment in time, and I didn't really get too, like, I was never a die-hard fanatic. I did watch all the movies within about a week or two of them coming out because I did enjoy I thought that the world that they had created was just marvelously well done. I do love fantasy in pretty much every form, and I really was always interested in that. But playing the game, I will tell you now that I've got a goofy, dumb smile on my face almost every time whenever I'm playing the game, because it is this perfect feeling story, again, that I never knew that I wanted or that I would appreciate so much. Running around, collecting some magical creatures, putting them in a bag, and then releasing them into my own like little mini perfect ecosystem to, keep them safe from poachers while they're being hunted.
You can do that? Oh, that's so cool.
Probably one of the most satisfying things I've done in a while, as far as like not what you would call like combat orientated content. It, like the whole like go out and collect stuff. It's so nice going through figuring out riddles, stories. Do I think that they could have done a deeper, more like thorough style of it where there's way more like kind of mini games and stuff like that? Yes, but only because I'm insane. And if you're not insane, if you're not crazy, if you don't want to dedicate like 1,000 hours of your life into one game, then that's obviously like too far. But as far as like being a game made for a wide audience of just regular hardcore fans of the series, I think they absolutely knocked it out of the absolute bloody park, because there is no possible way that I think it could be done better for the mainstream. And that's fine, because mods will add that complexity for those people who really, 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 really do want it. And yeah, I think, and the mods are coming. Oh my goodness, we have another announcement about that today as well.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mention that in the heads up news, but it's just an announcement about what we're doing with it, so no biggie. But yeah, we are like everybody who's played it, Ash, Moon, and I. We are so impressed with the overall quality and the depth of experience that the game has brought. It really is just fitting you into this world, allowing you to have this story, this experience. The world could be a little bit more in depth. You could give interactability to every single student in the entire Hogwarts school. You could name every single one of them. That's something that they could do. You could also give the students like daily schedules and stuff like that, so you can like, you know, you could literally like creepily stalk any of them that you wanted to, but in the sense that like, again, that's something that they could have added, but you certainly don't need it. You certainly get enough of that in-depth feeling like you're in the world just from walking down a hallway, hearing some conversations from students here or there, and then, you know, reacting to other things that are in the world, whether they be, you know, plants or things. The only thing that's more gamified, obviously, than I think what we would normally have, like what's like canon to the lore, is the amount of random, insane, genocidal rampages you can go on. That's about the only thing where it's like, you know, children, it's bad to kill people. Oh, well, you know, it's a good thing I just killed like, you know, 240,000 poachers who happen to be in the local area. You know, it's that whole that whole game mechanic where it's like, you know, if the bad guys in this game all banded together, they'd actually have the majority in like political like numbers. Like, why don't they just vote in their own people instead of trying to take it by force? Because there's like 12 people in this village, but there's 89 enemies that respawn around the village that I murdered quite frequently. Like, it's like, you know, it's that kind of gaminess. But of course that's there because of the gaminess. But does it ever feel out of place? It doesn't. It feels so like perfect and so well fitted and so unique and honestly just fun. And that's the biggest thing that games are for. They're there to de-stress, give you fun, and then give you something to think about at the end of the day. And this game definitely has those things in spades as far as the general overall principle of how does the game affect you as an individual. And I would say that it's super entertaining. It's super good, like just smiley, happy, good. And then it's also just got a wonderful aesthetic to it that just matches it so well with the world of Hogwarts, with the world of the Wizarding world. And there's so much more that we can see out of that. And there's obviously like tie-ins to the lore that are done really, I think, really, really well. There's a lot of stuff with the goblins, them talking about how, you know, one of the reasons why they fight and why there's been a, you know, disconnection between wizards and goblins and that kind of stuff, and their grievances and whatnot. And they cover them in a way that I think is really cool, because it's like, yeah, here are these issues. We're not fixing them today.
It's not, you know, just one-dimensional?
Yeah, it's not one-dimensional.
Good.
It's like, you know, and your character can agree or disagree with, you know, stuff, but they're just a kid. They can't change this on a global scale, right? So the kid is like, well, I think that's unfair, you know, and they could say that, or they can chit chat about it, and it's like, that's cool. That's what we want. You don't need to be the savior of the universe and, you know, the Commander Shepard in every single game there is. Like, you know, you can leave room for just being a normal person in a world that's a complicated world. And I think that, again, they really just nailed that down perfectly. Yeah. And so just overall, I would say that comparatively is probably one of the best adaptations of a world into a video game that I have ever seen. Far better than anything I have ever played. And the visuals and how they do everything from the animation to the cutscenes and how that stuff all works, and the fact that there is a handful of PC bugs, but that's super standard these days. I would love there to not be, but there definitely will be fixes for that coming out right away. I believe NVIDIA's got a driver update coming for their graphics card. I believe AMD.
Oh, thank God!
One coming out soon. So yeah, there are some PC issues, and again, you have that because you have an almost infinite number of PCs in the world, as far as like how they're spec'd slightly differently, right? Like they've got different RAM, they've got different video cards, they've got different motherboards, different processors. Weird things are going to happen like that. And one of my complaints about other reviewers is other reviewers will bring up an issue that is basically them only. One reviewer recently came out and he's like, I have this issue when I'm talking to this character. And it's like, I just looked online. Nobody else other than you is having this problem. I have a different problem with some texture stretching when it comes to trees in the distance. And again, I have not encountered that as a general problem amongst most other players. I haven't seen it replicated on one stream that I've seen. It is not a thing. So I'm not going to dock them points for that because that's not a general PC issue. You know, if it was happening to everybody and people were memeing on it, then of course that's an issue that probably came up in testing. But there's a good chance that this particular stretching issue didn't actually come up in any of their late testing and therefore wasn't necessarily a big issue for them to be concerned about fixing, because it may have only affected 0.001% of the population.
Yeah.
But when you have like 10,000 of those errors, then you got 10% of the population that's having a, you know, not a super smooth experience. So that's the kind of stuff that playing on opening week is obviously more difficult. Playing on the consoles tends to make these things can sometimes be sometimes be more of a problem or less of a problem, just depending on, right? So we all remember how some games in the recent past, PCs were great, consoles had a rough time, vice versa. It happens all the time. So I'm not gonna hit on them because overall, a vast majority, like 90% of people, have reported very little technical bugs. The PC is the only platform in which is having continued grouping bugs. You know, bugs where it's like common across a lot of players, and that's a drop in FPS during some of the cutscenes, which certainly sucks. But to be honest, the cutscenes are so good that I barely noticed for the most part. And again, for somebody who's not going to get into, you know, heavily into the game until probably a week or two down the road, so long as they keep everything updated, I suspect strongly that a lot of that stuff will go away. And if you're into modding, the mods are already coming out with fixes for some of this stuff, so they naturally have been able to bring out fixes, repairs, and alterations to the mods far beyond what most of the average players are already looking for. So that's great, because this is what we need. And I'm just pulling up the list here. There are now 5 pages of mods on the Nexus front. So that's 20 mods per page.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
There is 100 mods that have come out for this so far, and some of these downloads, the top rated download is currently sitting at just under 30,000 downloads for the top mod on the site.
What was that one? Was it like the FPS fix?
No, that is the actually let me just refresh. I want to make sure that I'm actually quoting like the
actual
proper
thing. Yeah.
Proper stuff here. Let's give this. Sorry, no. Just under 30,000. That is the unofficial FPS hotfix for PC.
Yeah.
So that's going to fix a lot of those particular problems. So again, if you're into modding, if you want to take a chance at trying to fix some of this yourself, the community has already gone off like a lightning bolt and has fixed a large number of these things and have created a couple of really cool stuff. And this will be where I do this tiny little announcement. Mooney and I and Ash will be actually working on doing a mostly moon-centered, she's going to be taking the foreground on this modding review show. And she's already got a couple mods in her system. She's already tweaked out a couple of things.
Okay.
And she's doing some footage, putting the footage together. We will have that video out hopefully early next week. And we will continue doing an active mod show for as long as there's high quantity of mods being added. We're just really excited to see a game that is got this much promise, that actually shows up, didn't super hype it. It was just, hey, we made a game and it's really good. And it's so nice to have that. And hearing some rumors, this is where we'll get into a little bit of a rumor mill very quick.
Quidditch DLC?
We're getting a Quidditch DLC.
Yes.
There is talk about there's talk going on, and I've heard from a source that they're saying that the reception has been so positive that they're thinking about doing like a 10-year plan with this game.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because like you've got, I mean, we're in the 5th year. You got 7 years in total. So there's a lot of different things and directions you could do. I like, seriously, you could have, you know, the next school year, you could do the next 2 school years over the course of the next 5 years.
Oh yeah, big
just
time.
Constantly, like, you put one school year out every 2 years, and then you could just do more content around it. You could introduce a new character who starts at as a kid, you know, as a like a literally young kid going in for the first year. I believe they're about 10 to 11 typically when they're around that age when they show up the first time. And if you could do that, there is so much content there, and they could really just keep building off this. So apparently there's a lot of discussions going on. They're super happy, super thrilled with the reception. Despite the haters out there, the game has done incredibly successfully and has done really, really well, and I think is lining up a lot of really cool potential future things.
Did you enjoy that video? Let us know by slamming that like button and leaving a comment below. And if you found it helpful or informative, consider hitting that super thanks button or checking out the other support options in the description. Subscribe for tons more guides and other fun videos. And for insightful gaming news content, check out our sister channel, Triple S Podcast.